All right, moving on. So now we have essentially the layout for the next two. All right, so I'm going to copy these two down, and let's change minus to divide and multiply. This is going to be a division. This is going to be a multiplication. A quick warning about copy and paste. When you copy and paste, chances are you're going to forget stuff. Happens to every single developer on this planet. So whenever you copy and paste something and then all of a sudden your code doesn't work, well, maybe it's because you forgot to change one little, maybe an operator or one little number in a variable, or you didn't change something that was supposed to be changed. So careful, copy and paste can be very dangerous. Can also be very fast for, obviously, not having to write this 4 times or 3 times. And let's do an else. So the else is only there because if the user selects something that is not add, minus, divide, or multiply, we're going to say, hey, you can't do that. And the reason we do that is because the user can go in here and just change one of these to anything else. And all of a sudden, even though it says plus in here, anything else is the value that we're going to be using, and that doesn't work. So now when we run this code, actually let me get rid of that. When we run the code, I'm going to refresh the page. 1, 2, what do you think is going to happen? If you said nothing is going to happen, you're absolutely correct. And here's why. Look, nothing happened, and that's because we're returning information. Now, this is allowed. If we wanted to return this into an answer somewhere, say answer is equal to calculator, the answer will show up. If the user said add, the answer is going to be an addition. Minus is going to be a subtraction. But we're not returning anything. And that's because this function does not need to return anything. So this sort of a little bit breaks what we have learned a couple lessons ago about functions. But at the same time, it doesn't, because it is allowed. Nobody explicitly said that you have to return anything at any given point in time. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to store these in a variable. Call it the calculated answer is equal to, well, we could put anything, or we could just keep it as undefined. Now I'm going to change these returns to, if someone's adding, store it in here, or if they're multiplying, store it in the same variable. Remember, if one of these matches, one of these if statements matches, it doesn't matter what the other else if statements or else statements are saying. They're not going to run. This is a whichever one fits first, use that one. Now, we're going to say return false here because if there's an alert, don't show any answer. Actually, scratch that. I have a better idea. Let's say the calculated answer is equal to invalid operator. In fact, I'm just going to comment that out. And now we can say answer.innerHTML is equal to the calculated answer. Save that. Go to our page, refresh. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. 1 divided by 2, 0.5. And 1 multiplied, well, 2, let's do something a little bit different. There we go, 5. What happens if we make this a float? 5.24, 1.48, multiply these together, and there's your answer. So now you have a basic calculator, but let's see what happens if we get a malicious user. Some guy who thinks he's smarter than you comes in and says, you know what happens if I change add to anything else? Let's change that and see what happens. Invalid operator. Why is that? Because anything else is not allowed. We're allowed add, minus, divide, or multiply. Anything else gives you invalid operator. So there you have it. With one function, in how many lines do we have here? In 23 lines of code, you have written yourself a calculator in your browser. And in fact, you no longer actually need the form at all, although it's probably a good idea to keep it in there. But if you're using something JavaScript based anyways, using a form to submit something to your server and have it come back, sort of useless. So the form is technically unnecessary. And just to prove that, put something else in there. There we go. It works without the form. Now I'm going to spend a couple minutes styling these inputs and the select and the button and the answer and stuff. If you want to stick around for that, that's cool too. All right, so to style this, let's go ahead and I'm going to make some room. Answer can go at the bottom. Doesn't really matter where it goes. And what am I looking at here? I want to change all the inputs. 1px solid. C padding. Ooh, that's way too much. 5 pixels. Let's see what we're starting to look at here. Looks a little nicer. Let's go outline 0. No outline when I click into it. What? Let's also do this with select. There we go. Now let's add button. Things are looking okay. Let's change the background color. Background color is equal to white. Let's go in here and add a placeholder. Change that. Button, hover, background color, CCC. Do we want that? Let's do something a little more interesting. Let's go 8C1515, nice shade of red, and let's change the color to white. And let's also say that this button has a transition. It's going to transition the background color, 250 milliseconds linear, and it's also going to transition the color to, it's going to take 250 milliseconds to do the same thing, and it's also going to be linear. Save that, refresh. There we go, nice button. But I forgot one thing. Cursor, pointer, and also let's change the border 1 pixel solid 8C1515, match the other colors. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. Now our calculate button actually sticks out. And what happens if we do this? 0, because there's nothing there. 5, do we want to change that answer? Yeah, sure, why not? Text align, center, padding, 50 pixels, background color, 8C1515, color, FFF, font size, 54. And I'm not a fan of serif fonts, so let's say everything, font family, Helvetica, if your computer has it. If you're on a Mac, you probably have Helvetica. Otherwise, use Arial. Otherwise, use sans serif. Cool, so this is where our answer is going to be. Doesn't look fantastic, does it? I don't think so either. So maybe let's get rid of the padding. There we go, that's better. So there we have a very basic calculator. And that's it. So thanks for sticking with me through this entire video. I've probably talked your ear off by now. If I haven't, awesome. If I have, now would be a good time to go take a break, grab some food, grab some water, maybe go for a walk. It's good to get out and refresh your brain, step away from the code for a little bit. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but stepping away from code actually helps your brain process a little bit better. And then when you come back, feel free to keep practicing or hit continue and go to that next lesson.